Osama bin Laden, the architect of global shadow who changed the perception of fear. Osama bin Mohammed bin Awad bin Laden was born on March 10, 1957, in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, into a large, wealthy family deeply connected to the construction industry and business world. From childhood, he was surrounded by luxury, but also by strict religious discipline and the understanding that wealth and influence could be used for one's own purposes, but also to shape the reality of others. This early duality cultivated in him a strategic mind, an ideological sensitivity, and a sense of purpose that would shape his life and the perceptions of millions around the world. Bin Laden grew up amidst contrasts: Saudi Arabia's growing modernity versus traditional values, his family's wealth versus the country's poverty, and regional politics versus international influence. His early education combined religious studies with direct exposure to his family's economic power, and from a young age he leaned toward radical Islamic teachings, influenced by his environment and by mentors who saw religion as a guide for political and military action. During the 1970s and 1980s, Osama bin Laden traveled extensively, participating in construction projects in Saudi Arabia and abroad while simultaneously engaging in the cause of Muslims in Afghanistan against the Soviet invasion. The Afghan war transformed him into a strategic leader and a natural organizer. There he learned not only military tactics but also how to mobilize resources, influence foreign volunteers, and coordinate complex operations in chaotic environments. His figure began to grow as that of a strategist who combined faith, vision, and determination with calculated patience. With the formation of Al-Qaeda in 1988, bin Laden established himself as the architect of a transnational organization. His leadership was not based on traditional charisma or visible politics but on building networks, financing operations, and long-term planning. Bin Laden understood that modern power operated as much in the mind as on the physical battlefield, and that symbols, attacks, and propaganda could multiply his influence far beyond what any conventional army could achieve. September 11, 2001, marked a turning point in contemporary history. The coordinated attacks against the United States demonstrated bin Laden's ability to execute strategic operations that not only caused physical devastation but also altered global perceptions of power and fear. His figure became symbolic of both the threat of international terrorism and the effectiveness of rigorous planning and strategic patience. Over the years, bin Laden became a universal enemy, pursued by the United States and its allies, while at the same time maintaining followers who viewed him as a figure of resistance and ideological commitment. His life was marked by constant movement, strategic anonymity, and the construction of a narrative blending religion, politics, and violence as tools to achieve ends he considered just and necessary. Unlike many contemporary leaders, bin Laden did not seek conventional power or political fame. His ambition was invisible to traditional diplomacy: to transform geopolitics through pressure, threat, and calculated action, relying on the power of ideas over direct force, on shadow rather than public spotlight. His leadership reflected the information age and globalization, a form of power exercised without physical presence but with tangible and lasting impact. Bin Laden died on May 2, 2011, in Abbottabad, Pakistan, during a U.S. military operation that ended his physical life, although his influence persists in the memory and actions of those who continue to believe in his ideology. His story reminds us that contemporary history can be shaped not only by governments and armies but also by individuals who combine strategy, vision, and patience in an interconnected world. Today, Osama bin Laden is remembered as the embodiment of global threat, the paradox of invisible power, and the ability of one individual to change the perception of global security. He was not a social revolutionary nor a statesman, but an architect of shadow, someone whose life and actions left an indelible mark on the history of the 21st century. In the end, reflecting on his impact, the lesson is clear and unsettling: power can emerge from unexpected places, influence does not always require legitimacy or consensus, and contemporary history is shaped as much by strategy and ideology as by brute force and diplomacy. Don't forget to like, share, and leave your comment. Write who you want to see in the next video. The next story could be your choice.